in the trenches, under attack, separated from the nest. And through this test,
all right. Back to where I started from. This is where it all began, in Mark chapter 11. And after y'all see this video, whenever you see 11:11, you're going to think about this video, because it is October the 11th when I'm making this video. And it was 11:11 just a second ago when I looked at the clock. So cheers. This is what the 11s was all about. I bet you. So the last two videos, you're really going to need to watch them, because I'll try to do as much recapping as I can. But this is the third video in that series. It's the fig tree generation. It's the one you really, really want to see. But it all started with this story of a withered fig tree that I read about in the Holy Megillah, where the holy babe touched a withered fig tree and it became youthful and laden with fruit. And then I remembered the scriptures in the King James in my head, and it started trying to make me figure out, was that the parable of the fig tree? So I was reading to you guys, and I think the first video from Matthew chapter 24 verse 32, where it says, "Now learn a parable of the fig tree, and this when his branch is yet tender," is really what did it for me. Because it was a holy babe, and the branch, I remember that Yahshua was called the branch in my studies. So I was just connecting that in the last couple of videos. And then what I saw when I went to the footnotes in the Holy Megillah, which is what I advise you and the Yair advises us to do, to read the footnote. In the footnotes, it tells us that the word Nezer means branch. And it is the root of the word Nezerian, which in English became Nazarene. Nezerian Christianity consisted not of Nasareans, but of Aaronite Jews and others that accepted Yahshua as the fulfillment of the mainstream Jewish Bible's Nezer prophecy. Okay? And that was the prophecy of a coming Jewish Messiah of peace. So the Nezer prophecy is this word branch. And it's not necessarily this word branch right here, because this is Greek. Remember, the New Testament was written in Greek. So the word Nezer is Hebrew. In the AV, that's the authorized version. That's the King James one. This word Nezer is translated as branch in Isaiah 11 and Daniel 11. Peep these 11s, because the actual only account that we have Yahshua saying this to the tree, it's in Mark 11, Mark chapter 11. Isn't chapter 11 bankruptcy? I don't know if I said that already, but I think this is how Yahshua bankrupt these bankers. So the most important thing here, I just want to finish this video out, bringing light to the fact that Yahshua studied the Aaronite Torah as well, and that this was all a plan. Even the scriptures that we probably have today were a part of this cleverly devised plan. And Lucifer had lied when he planted that fake tree. That's why this is a dualistic message, because that was the most amazing thing when I read the footnotes about the Nezer prophecy. That it is only in one place, that's the Isaiah 11, where the word is translated as branch from Nezer. And a little bit of looking up on Nezer, it means crown. So beautiful, it says it up here. It's a name for a male, a Hebrew male name, and it means crown. It's derived from Nazar, which means something set apart, and it's also associated with unshorn locks. So the Nezer prophecy, I think we have to give credit to Matthew for being the one to say that it was spoken by the prophet, that he shall be called a Nazarene. This is where Matthew was quoting. Matthew was quoting Isaiah chapter 11, which uh, it's really good. If you read the whole thing, look, it's the lion and the lamb, but this one is the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid. So let's read it real quick a little bit. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. And it also, I said, wow, this is the crown prophecy. You could call it the crown prophecy. And you know about the crown of blazing light that Yahshua says he teaches us how to manifest and what we're really going to manifest in these last days. So beautiful. But it all started here in Mark 11. And this is where I'm going to be reading from in my next video, Mark chapter 11, and from the Holy Megillah, chapter 95, out of the Holy Godspell. They're two renderings of the same event. And you're going to see something, what I've been seeing, that all scripture is good for edification, and that there was even this well-orchestrated plan that Yahshua had devised in order to go to where the people were at, meet them where they believed, and still offer them something at that point that was going to prepare us for today. And so if you didn't watch the last video, you didn't hear where Yahshua said he was only going to fulfill one of the prophecies. This is so good. Like he says here in verse 317, on these very cliffs above Gedi, we will baptize and train John's disciples to become not simply Nasareans, which job John has well begun, but also to perform specific roles in our plan of action related to our outreach ministry to Israel, particularly our outreach to the Aaronite religion that you know so well. You former Aaronites will be our ambassadors, our apostles to the Aaronites. But he comes down here and says, it is important to understand that not only are we purposely fulfilling the Nazarene messianic prophecies of the Holy Megillah, which call for the coming of the Lord Christ and the Lady Christ, but will now purposely also fulfill one of the various Aaronite messianic prophecies, that of the Messiah of peace. I'm showing you how you're going to need to be able to be familiar with this King James Version, at least the New Testament, and now Yahshua just showed us that he was familiar with the Old Testament. So this is something that we're going to have to think about making sure that if you're not familiar with these books, that you get them under your belt, because this is a forever learning. Don't never stop. Graduate this level, there's another level to graduate. And get your crown. Learn how Matthew told us. Learn the parable of the fig tree so you stop eating from the wrong tree, because that was the most profound thing that I also found out. This guy, and I got to do a little more research on it, said that this word Nezer, it says it's a very specific type of branch, and it comes from an olive tree. Olive trees are fascinating. They live for thousands of years, and they can be cut down to the stump and look like they're gone forever. But hundreds of feet away, an olive shoot from the original tree's root system will spring up. It will look like it's a new tree, but it comes from the one removed long ago. That's profound to learn, that the word Nezer that we get Nazarene from is an olive branch. It's a specific type of branch. That's why he has this picture of this olive tree here. What is the dove holding in her mouth, y'all? An olive branch, right? So this is, like I said, the parables that were spoken by Christ were probably orchestrated and written down by some of these 32 former Aaronites who knew their own scriptures as well and knew how to go and bring it to the Aaronites where they were at, so that the world would accept and say, oh yeah, that guy, I think that is who our scriptures are talking about, the Messiah. and he's received now the world over. Everyone knows about Jesus, and we're prepared for the full gospel, which we're receiving now. And now we know that what's been given to us in the New Testament, and that's why it was. He said he fulfilled. You gotta look at this definition of fulfilled. He fulfilled their scriptures, sealed them up. That's it. That's why it's the Old Testament, and we were under the New Testament, which would have been all the things that he had instructed his disciples, and not just the disciples, John's disciples, then the traveling companions, and then all those people that they taught to profess and proclaim that Yahshua, Jesus the Christ, was the Messiah of the world. And we better get to doing our homework. It's like I said, this is chapter 11. Somebody's going bankrupt, baby. And there's even a Daniel chapter 11 that talks about the branch, but it's another violent prophecy of the Messiah of peace. But Yahshua said he was going to just fulfill this one, the one Messiah of peace one. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. That's why he also said in this same chapter 74, he says, many will say to me when I return to this world in the last days of the great harvest, Lord, Lord, in your name I conquered. Yea, Lord, in your name I killed, in your name I ran prisons, and in your name I amassed material wealth, and in your name I ruled nations, and in your name I made weapons, and in your name I defeated nature, and in your name I preached and prophesied and ministered, and I will reply, you have not yet known me. He said, nor do you practice or even preach my yoga. You have proclaimed my name, but your beliefs and deeds are far from me. This is why you have to know the Aaronite scriptures, because a lot of people are loving Jesus and they don't really understand what he died for, who he was, and what's going on. And this satanic society is just running things, because there's all these other places that it talks about the Messiah coming, but it's not the Messiah of peace. The only one that was the Messiah of peace, and I probably already showed you this, but I just want to hone in on it, was this scripture here, Isaiah chapter 11, this word Nezer. That's the only one, and this is the good one. It's the wolf shall also dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. It's a beautiful scripture. It gets bad at the end, because there's still some violent tendencies to even to their Messiah of peace prophecies. That's why I said read that chapter 74. Yahshua gave us all the information that we'll need in this entire chapter. And if you don't have the Megillah, you're missing out, because I wouldn't have known about this, that he was only fulfilling one of those Aaronite prophecies of the Messiah of peace, and that it was them who invented this Nezerian Christians, and it was just to raise the vibration. You have to read these footnotes. It says the word Nezer means branch, and is the root of the word Nezerian, which in English became Nazarene. Nasarean sounds similar to Nazarene, but it is from an entirely different Hebrew root. Nasa means rise, high, ascend. The Nasareans and their co-messiahs, besides fulfilling their own messianic prophecies related to Yahshua and Miriam, purposely also fulfilled the best Aaronite messianic prophecies, the one about the Messiah of peace. Most of the Aaronite messianic prophecies were related to what scholars call the warrior Messiah, not the Messiah of peace. So it says the Nazarenes hoped by doing so they would help elevate the Aaronite religion and influence it in a positive way. Stop killing all them animals, because now your scriptures were fulfilled. It was the ultimate sacrifice, a human, right? That's what their scriptures always said. That's, if you read the Megillah, Lucifer talking to Cain, he told him he had to start to perform human sacrifices, and that's what the high priest the serpent priesthood was all about. So I'm seeing it on another level where once a person makes certain decisions, there's certain things that have to be done. And Yahshua, even not having anything to do with these dark demonic scriptures, even allowed himself to be connected to it for our sakes. You know, he said it. I was looking forward to show you. Laying his life down was just so that he could meet them where they were at, and they could accept him for what their scriptures said. And once they accepted him, now they could follow his instructions. He says, I will give my human life for love, for the Messiah of the Aaronites will be crucified like a sacrificial lamb. That's what their scriptures said. I'll forgive them for that crime, making the consequences less otherwise would be the case, and in doing so will leave behind a set of universal love teachings that they can follow as best they can. The Nezerian Christianity that will include the Nasarean doctrine of vegetarianism, because that's what Yahshua was trying to do, save the animals, because it's not really only about the animals, but what's happening with the animals is why man is so far gone. If we can save the animals, man will be saved in that, because it's what we're doing to the animals. That's what I'm trying to say, that that the problem is here. And that's what Yahshua came to address. And y'all know he left his son. And so there's a whole bloodline of the Yahshuaites. No, I've just made that up. But there's a whole bloodline of them. I don't know, you know, the Gedeites. That's what his son's name was, the Chalice. And they're out here doing work, I bet you. And all of that's going to be revealed now. We don't have to really focus on those man-made prophecies. If it's got death in it, if somebody's dying and somebody's gaining, and it's not peace and harmony, you know that it comes from that serpent priesthood. And that's what I was talking about in the last video. I wanted to show that, where Yahshua says that their scriptures are not our scriptures, and it's about time that we know that. We've been given the full gospel outside of that Luciferian system, and so it's so beautiful because it's shining the light. I'm using the Holy Megillah to shine light on everything else, and it is a bright light. Bright light. I said them gremlins is like Gizmo. Bright light, bright light. Yeah, they can't take it. So here is the one, the Nezer prophecy, Isaiah chapter 11, the one scripture from the Aaronite Torah that Yahshua said he was going to fill. This is how you know him. You gotta know him and what he was doing, so you don't get confused. And they'll tell you that he's all a part of this, what's going on in the world today. That no. So this is a dualistic teaching. It's about that fig tree generation, but it's also about the branch, the olive, the original tree. Beautiful, right? And it was recorded. Matthew, Mark, 11:11.
We in the trenches, under attack, separated from the nest, and through this test.